Good evening, everyone, and welcome, Miss Jasmine Owens. Miss Jasmine Owens is the author of Girls Can Dream. She's out of Atlanta, Georgia. As a first generation graduate of Spelman College, her first children book was born out of her passion to educate and expose children early to many of the career choices in the world. Good evening, Miss Owens, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. How are you?
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited to talk to little Aiden Press today.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. It is a pleasure to have you, and we're just going to jump right into it. So, tell us a little bit more about Girls Can Dream and what inspired you to write this book.
Sure. Girls Can Dream. It's a ABC picture book that really celebrates African American girls, the diversity among us, excuse me, as African Americans. And it's meant to really highlight, the careers, not all, because of course it can't touch on every, but ones that I really felt African American women are often underrepresented in. And so it's a A through Z book, and it's really designed for, I really say from birth
Mhm.
to about age 8. But you never know. I mean, maybe there are some careers in it that may be of interest for older kids, at least just to give them a little bit of a teaser as to what these careers are all about. And so it's a very simple, easy read that's really meant to spark conversations among parents at an early age. And my daughter, her name is Jaylee. She's 5 now, but she was the inspiration for the book, and I started writing it about 4 years ago. And it took me some time, but I'm just excited to finally get it out into the world.
Yes, this writing process, I can tell you, it most definitely is a roller coaster ride. When you get started,
Yes.
you're into it, and then you have a roadblock, and there's a pause.
Mhm.
And
Right.
but I'm glad that you came back, got through it, and now you have your book baby, as I call all books, book babies,
Yeah,
authors.
it
So
really is. Yes.
yes, because it's like birthing a child, the
Oh,
process
yeah.
that you go through.
Yes, it's a process, and it's like, especially when it's your first time, it's just like being a
Yes,
first time parent. You don't know what you're getting into, but
yes,
you just
yes.
take it one day at a time.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. And so you said that it was targeted toward from youngers. It's probably on up to adults because it's so important to introduce our children to so many different careers. And because a lot of times what we see, they introduce them to basic stuff such as sports and things like that. So it's good to have a book that exposes them to other careers. Now, what are some of the career courses that you just talk through in the book?
Yeah. So some of them, I kind of think of some of the ones that are some of my favorites. Of course, I love all of them, but there's a J is for judge. So I have a little snippet about, what a judge does. There is a firefighter, which was really exciting for me to even, have that in the book because, we saw a Black woman being signing at the recent inauguration that we had, who was actually, out of Atlanta. And, she's in that profession. So of course, like I said, you don't always see us in
Yeah.
roles like that. There's also, let's see, E is an engineer. We have president, which
Okay.
is
Yes.
a big favorite. You may notice a little inspiration when you see the
Yes.
person, the character for the president. And I don't know some others.
Well, I don't want you to tell them all of you when you want them in the
Yeah,
book.
no, there's some other really good ones.
Yes, we want to go get them a copy of the book. And so let's just share the screen here and share your book cover here. Everyone here is Girls Can Dream, and I love the illustration. Now, so who's your illustrator? Tell us a little bit more behind how you told your illustrator to do your illustrations for your book.
Sure. So the illustrator, she's also a Black woman. She's actually from and lives in Nigeria. So she's a
Okay.
Nigerian woman. Her name is Morenike Olusanya. And she and I worked on this book really starting like last summer or so is when the cover process was started. And then after we went into the inner illustrations. And I found her on Instagram, the good old social media, and
Yes.
just a lot of just searching, keywords. I was really interested in having all Black women being a part of this book in some way. So like my editor is a Black woman, of course, myself, illustrator. And yeah, pretty much just by chance, found her, was just looking through images. And it's not that I could necessarily describe like what I wanted in terms of
Hmm.
the style, but I knew I would know it when I saw it.
Right.
I really just wanted, like a clean feel and someone who really understood how to represent like Black characters.
Yes.
And so that is really what she is. She's great, I think, in anything, but
Yes.
that's really like her niche is like representing like Black women. And so if you look at her Instagram, it's I am Renike, Renike. You'll see, how her portfolio really speaks to, capturing the essence of and diversity, I would say, definitely, of Black.
That is great. That is awesome. And just looking at the cover of the book, you can see that she really took her time and brought your vision to life. So that is amazing. That is so amazing.
Yeah, she really did.
Yes. And in your journey, from like you say, it took you over 4 years to try to get it out there. What are some of your roadblocks that you had along the way that you could share with us?
Yeah. So, excuse me, I feel like the first process, of course, was for me writing it.
Mhm.
Didn't have a lot of roadblocks with that. Just really had to, for some of the letters, had to do some research on because I just couldn't think of like, well, what starts with like a Y, you
Oh,
know? So, I mean, but that was a pretty smooth process. And then next, for me, I was really wanting to get the illustrations done, like after I had it written. And that actually is what took the longest.
yes.
I had a couple of other people who I tried, and that didn't work out. And so, everything happens the way it's supposed to. And when I finally did find Marinake, it was last year. And I would have periods of like talking to someone, and would just kind of be waiting on them to like get back with me, or to just to move forward in the process. And if things fell through, months had passed, and then that
Right.
turned into like a few years. And then sometimes, other things going on. You're just kind of trying to juggle,
Yes.
life and this baby project, thing that you have going on. And you just have to keep going, taking it one step at a time. And that's what I kept, felt like for me, it was God that was speaking to me, telling me just take another step,
Yes.
just keep doing something a little bit at a time. And so once the illustration process started, I really, just kind of finished finished it and just kept going and just learning as I went.
Now, how has the marketing been for you? Because that is like a beast in itself. Oh my
Yeah.
God. That is one of the biggest, even like for me. And I just released my second book. I'm still learning the process and just starting to try to understand. But the marketing is driving me crazy. Just
Yeah.
trying to make sure you're getting it out here to the different people, in the different hands. So how has that been for you?
Yeah. Well, for me, like it's been out a month now.
Mhm.
And I feel like the marketing piece is like the piece that, even though I knew to have some stuff earlier, like planning that I didn't
Yes.
do. And I would, of course, you wish you would have done it earlier, but I'm also enjoying kind of organically like learning about new, organizations, maybe like to reach out to and
Yes.
learning about the distribution. And so for me, I don't feel like this rush. Of course, like when our book goes out, especially if you're self-published, you want it. Like it's like in your mind, you think like everybody's gonna see it, like that. And it doesn't work like that when you're, in this indie world with a
Yes.
large publisher. Naturally, they have the reach and things. And so, even though I feel like it's definitely slow, I am okay with it because I feel like I can really look and kind of learn as I go and see what others are doing and ask questions, and because it's also expensive, people know it could cost. And so I'm just trying to be strategic and think about like how I want to, I guess, implement my marketing
Yes.
plan. So yeah,
Yes.
doing things, definitely talks. I enjoy that. I have a school lined up at the end of the month.
Well, that's
Um,
great.
yeah, and that's virtual, and it's kind of like networking with people who I know. Of course, I've been heavy on social media and have done some other like social media kind of like paid advertisements.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just thinking of other things that I can do, just like we all are, just to try and get it out as much as you can, but also trying to be smart and resourceful at the
Yes.
same time.
Yes, most definitely. And I most definitely would say not to rush because, if you are, rushing through a process and then you don't have the opportunity to really learn. And so that was one of the things that, with my first book, it kind of, was stagnant, kind of sat there for a minute or whatever. Um, and it was fine because I really just wanted to soak in a lot of the process and understanding how to do when I got ready to release my second one, I knew a little more of, what to do and the patience. But this
Right.
time around, I was able to navigate a little more and with reaching out to people. I think that's a lot
Mhm.
of times, you have your own self-doubt that stands in your way.
Yes. Right.
But yeah, so I'm glad that you're taking your process slow and you're learning and you're building. And I think that this type of platform, and this is why I do it, because I love to meet new authors. And
Yeah.
I can learn so much more, in the process, and just knowing that we are connected and we can share each
Mhm.
other's stories and journeys along the way. So it's beautiful because I want other
Yes.
people to see
Great.
there's so many other children's books out here that we can share with our children.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. And we definitely are a great resource, like this. And I've met so many people, virtually, and I'm like, wow, like this is really nice, like to have this community. And then also to never meet people, and people are often willing to share. And I'm the same
Yes.
way. Anything I can share, if someone reaches out, like I'm always happy to do so. And you brought up a good point about the self-doubt piece, because that's a roadblock that I did mention that definitely was there.
And it's okay, because like you said, in this indie space, and this is new. This is a new space to be in, and you're just trying to, get your story out there. You want to share it with other people, and then you get into this. Well, will anybody buy it? What makes me
Right.
think that I can do this? That type of thing. But you keep on pushing forward no matter what, because you just never know who's actually really looking for what you have. And so then
Right.
it's just shocking when you put it out there. You're like, oh wow, this is doing better than I expected. So
Yes. Exactly.
yes,
It's
so that's
reassuring. That's for sure.
it. Really is, and it doesn't really matter if it's the neighbor next door, your aunts, uncles, cousins. It's just the
Mhm.
fact that you have somebody that's buying your book. You are now an accomplished author, and it's not about all about resume building, because you are building your resume, but it's just another accomplishment that you can say that you achieved, especially if that was a goal for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's amazing. And you have children that, as they grow older, your grandchildren, your great grandchildren will be able to see this,
Yeah.
so
Right.
it's a legacy piece, as well, to pass on for generations and generations.
That's so true. Yeah. And that's the thing. Once it's out there, it's like that's a big thing in itself to have it
Yes,
for people to be able to access it, even if people don't know about it. But just the fact that it's, it's on, wherever you're selling it or through your website, like as long as that's, up and going and you have
yes,
your inventory there, like it's available. It's a real tangible thing. So that's what's really exciting about it.
yes. Now tell everybody where they can go and find your book. Give us the website.
Yeah. There are a few different places that you can use to access it. You can either start by going to um, some of the big retailers, if you like that, Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, Books A Million, as well as bookshop.org. It's one of those, Bookshop is one of those websites that I learned about during this journey. And the reason I really like it is
I
because
don't even know about
I
that.
really like it because of it really promotes like local and small bookstores. And so if you're really into supporting small local businesses, I would really encourage looking on bookshop.org and purchasing through there. And yeah, you can get it still through my website as well, girls can dream .org. So yeah, you can look at my
And
social media.
give us your
Um,
social media handles so we know where to
yeah,
find you there as well.
yeah. So yeah, through there are links to the various places to purchase. It's at Girls Can Dream Book on Instagram as well as on Facebook. So yeah, you see those little links somewhere over there. I
Yes,
think it's
yes, yes.
yeah.
And it's wonderful. And I love, and I'm going to order your book because I have a grandson. And even though, it's professions in there because actually I'm in the process of doing more like a coloring book and kind of in your
Yeah,
space here because it's
yeah.
important for them to just see something else other than sports.
Yes,
Especially for little boys because they often push the sports on little boys, and we want them to dream bigger than sports.
yes, that's right.
Because those fields a lot of you get injuries and all stuff like that. So we want them to have some other options that they know that they can explore. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's
Thank
so
you. That's
important.
great. And yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because even though
Yeah.
it's a highlight girls, and the
Hmm.
girls are the characters, girls and boys need this
Yeah.
information. So
Yeah.
it's really good for either or. And it's good for them to see the images too.
Oh, most definitely. Now, anything that you would like to share with a young, inspiring author who's maybe stuck and not sure on what to do next, or just feel like, I'm going to toss it to the side because I can't, but we want them to know that they can.
Yeah. Well, I would say definitely, block out, put your blinders on. This is some advice I had to give myself. And, when you're trying to just be head down and get it done, try and
Mhm.
block out everything else because sometimes when you see, you know, what someone else is doing, that can even be a distraction because you might
Yes,
feel like going back to the self-doubt, like, oh, like, I'm doing the same thing, it's not, am I really feeling a unique niche? Or whatever it is. But just remember that your unique voice is what is going to bring that individuality to your book. So if you feel like a story needs to exist, don't be afraid to do it because on the end, the final product is going to give you that satisfaction that you're looking for. So I would definitely encourage anyone to do it. And like I said earlier, just take one step at a time, get that done and then move on to the next thing. Even if you don't know what it is, there's so many resources out there to help you along the way. Because that's exactly how I did it. I had no idea about publishing a book. So yeah, just stay encouraged and listen to that original voice that spoke to you that told you that your story was needed.
That is great. That is great. And I want to say thank you again so much for joining me, everyone. This is Miss Jasmine Owens, and you can be able to pick up her book, go to her website, learn more about her at girlscandream.org. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and
Thank
we will be
you.
in touch. We will be in touch.
Definitely.
All right, everyone, have a good evening.
Thank you, you too. Bye.